So we've seen a little bit of a good burst here from the Toronto Blue Jays offense. Well, besides, I guess, last game. How do they stack up against the rest of the league? We'll talk about it today.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. I'm Braden Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Wasco. Carter First, too, as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. And we noticed a lot of you guys aren't subscribed, so you might as well throw us one. And also, it keeps us at the top of your page, any Blue Jays news, content, and whatever else you guys will get as well. There's a little bit of a bell icon now where you can hit that and it'll notify you if we go live, something else. If any videos get posted, you'll be the first to know. Lot to get into today, Carter. Lot to get into. We didn't do any sort of game recaps yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago, so we're going to delve into those as well as this past game. The offense really didn't look good. So today we're going to talk about just how good this offense has been as of late, because really, I mean, it's been a fun brand of baseball to watch. Carter, I don't know, over this last little stretch, even we'll say since the All-Star break, this team has looked pretty good offensively.
You can't complain, especially with the little home run stretch. So obviously they had a lot of home runs. Just everyone was hitting home runs on the Toronto Blue Jays. Ernie Clement went through a little bit of a stretch there. Will Wagner got his first home run, obviously. Joey Lopervito's joining it. Aston Barger. Alejandro Kirk had a home run. Dalton Varsho. You pretty much have everyone on the Toronto Blue Jays coming together and hitting home runs just all at the same time, which is awesome to see. So over a 16-game stretch, the Toronto Blue Jays had 28 home runs, which was good for first in the MLB over that time. And just looking at the runs per game since after the All-Star break and beyond, obviously, they have been very good as well. So you look at the runs per game over the last 33 games, it is good for a 4.64 runs per game. And you compare that to the league right now where all the other teams are at, that'd be good for 12th in the league. Toronto Blue Jays are 20th. So you want that offense to get better, but they are hitting at an above league average for WRC plus. Finally, we got to this point. So you have about an average offense. You could say above average, slightly below average. There's arguments there. It's not the thing you want yet. You obviously want to be top 10 in most categories, whether that's offense, defense, pitching, you name it. But with the Toronto Blue Jays in the middle, with all the prospects that they do have in their system right now and on the Toronto Blue Jays, with how good they are hitting, comparing them to the players that left at the trade deadline as well. You can argue that Joey Lopervito and Will Wagner have been better than Justin Turner and IKF, two players that have more experience than those two players, but are producing at very similar outcomes. So it's nice to get these players to have some playing time and figure it out at this level right now. But so far, since the All-Star break anyway, and a little bit before that as well, this team offensively, other than yesterday's game, of course, has been fairly pleasant to watch. And that's why we had such a good stretch during that 6-game win streak. But now we are at a 2-game losing streak and kind of got brought back down to earth in this last little stretch here.
Yeah, and I think eventually sort of the other foot had to drop, right? In the sense that you look at this team based on a bunch of rookies and, first, second-year players. For the most part anyway, and you can't expect them to be as consistent as guys who have been in the league for 6+ years on some of these other teams. So I expect games like this to happen and little stretches like this. I think we sort of had jokingly talked about, what if they go on a so many game winning streak? Well, that's just not in the cards for a team like this. A team based on rookies will have lapses, and that's what we're seeing here is they might heat up and go on good stretches, but then they'll come back down to earth, and that's exactly what we saw. And we'll get into the game because it sort of did kill you, but I do want to make the point that this team has looked very, very solid offensively since the trade deadline, since some of these guys got going, like for the aforementioned Joey Lopervito, Will Wagner, and so on. Of course, Vlad has to be in that conversation too. I sort of sometimes don't give him his flowers just because I expect the greatness all the time from him where we're at now. Yeah, Carter, I don't know, man. Like, do you think that that some of these guys, with how this offense is producing, does this give you more hope going into 2025, seeing these bats sort of heat up now? Or is it still one of those things where maybe this is just a little bit of a hot stretch?
It's so unbelievably early on for some of these players. Like a lot of them are just making their debuts. You see Will Wagner getting his first career home run not too long ago. These guys are still the babies of the league. They've been in MLB for 20 games at best. So you're looking at these players again. You want to see good things. You don't want them to be have negative at bats at the plate. You want them to be competitive. You want them to be able to fight and have some success. Obviously, help for their confidence and just to get them settled in the MLB. But again, you're just kind of looking for flashes here. You're not looking for anything too crazy. You're not expecting them to go and hit 500, but you don't want them to hit 100 either. So as long as they look like they kind of belong in the MLB and they're not outliers, you can't spot them very easily out there on the baseball field, then I'm okay with what they're doing. Again, it's not going to be the most consistent thing. They're babies of the league. Like they have no experience. They're going to face some really good pitching that they've never necessarily seen before. So there's going to be a lot of hiccups. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. But you just want to see them play good baseball at the end of the day.
Yeah, and sort of the one thing I think that stands out for me, Carter, is looking back. I remember we were going through what felt like the dog days of the season where the Toronto Blue Jays were just losing so consistently before the All-Star break. And I would look at their team stats and how they do overall offensively, and everything was in the high 20s. And it's just like, the high 20s in the league, like 27, 28 the league for these hitting stats. And I think what's nice to see now is these stats are sort of being brought back to where I think is manageable. Like in runs, they're 19th. In hits, they're 19th. In average, they're 18th. In on base percentage, they're 14th. Slugging, 17th. OPS 15th. It's just nice to see that at least. I think that gives me a little bit more hope that there's now pieces that we can hopefully use and build around going forward, especially with some of these. And I know we're going to continue to talk rookies and first, second, third year players, because that is what the future of this team is going to be. And I think to see these statistics already from these guys is just so huge to see for this Toronto Blue Jays team that went through such a struggling start to this season.
From what happened at the start of the season, like for where we are, obviously it is a big disappointment, but you have shown flashes again when we talk about prospects. You normally don't see them. I know I've said this before, but we've been lucky enough to see a bunch of prospects that have had a decent amount of success. As in Barger's launching baseballs, you've seen Joey Lopevito have very good games. Obviously, Will Wagner just a couple days ago had his first home run and 2 doubles on the same day, so that was awesome to see. And then you got guys to supplement that like Dalton Varsho, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has really found his stride. George Springer actually being a regular baseball player and committing and contributing to your team definitely helps out. He will get to 20 home runs again this season as long as he gets one more. So shout out to George Springer for really turning it around. So yeah, you have some positive pieces, and again, you got your prospects in the spotlight for this time because there's only a couple spots left for the Toronto Blue Jays on next season for next season. Like you're not going to be able to take David Schneider, Will Wagner, Ashton Barger, Joey Lopevito, Leo Jimenez, and the whole squad you got going there. It's probably going to get limited to 2 to 3 spots, and it may be less than that depending on what they do in this free agency. So you just want these guys to show flashes. They're really battling for their jobs and their MLB careers, even though there is a small sample size. Only 27 games left in the season, which is crazy to say. Not a lot of baseball left. So they have a limited amount of time to show the management and John Schneider what they are able to do. And again, you'll look at spring training, you'll look at mini camps, things like that. They'll have the opportunity there as well, but they got to build on the impressions that they're going to be making right now.
Yeah, this is the time for a lot of them, right? And I think that going forward, there is going to be spots up for grabs. I know I went on to Snake Sports Talk Show, and we sort of had the conversation about what is this team going to look like post post off seasons when they start getting into spring training. What moves would have been made? And I sort of said, I don't know. It's very up in the air. It's what does this team want to do? Where do they want to supplement? And where do they want to throw money towards? Is it the bullpen? Is it getting that power bat? Where I think it should be a little bit of both, obviously. But what spots will be available going into next year? We're going to talk way more about that as we sort of progress through this offseason and through the end of the year here. Carter, I just wanted to mention here, I know we're going to take a quick break. We're already somehow at 10 minutes. I feel like this stuff just flies by when we get, snapping it around. I just want to mention, I will be down in Minnesota for the Friday Saturday Blue Jays series against the Twins. So if you come by, you see me there, come chat some Blue Jays with me. Tell me how frustrated you are. Tell me how happy you are that the offense is starting to kick it into gear, and hopefully we'll get some good baseball. I want to throw that out there as well, so that if you guys do see me, I'll be wearing probably a Davis Schneider jersey. It'll be one of two. Maybe I'll wear both. Who knows? We're
I
gonna
think
take a quick.
you're gonna go with the City Connect, I feel like. But I just want to also say that so far, Braden Wasco, since he has undertaken the Lockdown Blue Jays podcast, he's 1-2 at Toronto Blue Jays games, hoping to turn that around. This hunt for 500 happens for Braden Wasco as well. So if you can get a little bit of a sweep first two games, maybe get back into more welcoming waters for the boys. Obviously, going down to Minneapolis. So hopefully you can be their good luck charm.
Yeah, hopefully that's what it is, because I don't necessarily want to go and just see them get pummeled. But after yesterday's game, which we'll get into, if that's the kind of baseball I'm going to see, that is going to be a very, very difficult game to watch.
Maybe you get an Alejandro Kirk legacy game. You get a Daniel Vogelback legacy game. Let's have another one. Might as well.
I hope so. I hope we'll make a post down there saying Alejandro Kirk is hit for the cycle, but I don't think that'll be the case. I'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll get some games to recap. A lot more stuff to get into, and a big episode tomorrow. Just letting you guys know, big episode. Sort of a milestone for somebody on this Toronto Blue Jays team. So we'll give our thoughts. There'll be a lot of thoughts being given. Well, I'll leave that as the tease. We'll be right back. Today's episode brought to you by Liquid IV. Sort of a funny story here with Liquid IV. We were out on the weekend, and our buddy, as you guys all know, Dallin Wilton, the Bald Eagle, said his recovery, he said, "I've got the best recovery routine." And Carter goes, "What's this recovery routine?" He goes, "Liquid IV. It's the only way to go." And I'm so with him. Liquid IV is the only way to go. It's the perfect. It gives you some nutrition, some vitamins, everything like that, some minerals that you need moving forward throughout your day. I know I was dehydrated deeply after playing slow pitch. I needed Liquid IV, got the Liquid IV. I was good to go. It's so easy. You just tear it open, you pour it in the water, and you're good to go. Powered by Live HydroSense, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. As you guys know, Game Time, I'm a huge fan. It's hard not to be when I get cheap tickets, right? They also came out with this new thing called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And as you guys know, I'm going down to Minneapolis. I just talked about this, and we got our tickets through Game Time. It's you're just throwing money away if you're not using Game Time. It's the easiest and best way to do it. They have their seat views, which I always talk about. I love seeing where I'm going to sit before I purchase the ticket, so I'm not guessing or not really knowing what the view is going to be. They also have the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. If not, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Oh, sorry, Carter. I guess I'll let you back in here.
I'll take a step out. I guess Brayden really has something to say here. Obviously, taking the main stage on the Lockdown Blue Jays podcast floor.
It was something really important, I guess. I don't know what it was, but obviously important. A lot of games to get into. We didn't really have time to cover it in yesterday's episode, as we just absolutely talked everyone's ear off for like 40 minutes. So we were like, you know what? Let's save it. Let's do it tomorrow. Wasn't anything that insane that we needed to cover. Carter, let's start with yesterday's game. It was just horrible, to be honest with you. It was just really bad. The Toronto Blue Jays, Carter, I was going to make you guess, but this is just ridiculous. They got 2 hits, Carter. 2 hits. I don't know. Like I don't know. That would I just talked about how much fun it is watching this team slap the baseball around, which they've been doing for quite a while. And then they go into this game. I'm having it on the TV, and I'm like barely be able to keep my eyes open. I'm falling asleep. It was just the most boring game of all time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when the other team has more runs than you have hits. Not going to play for your baseball team. It just sucks. It's what just watching the game, you just kind of knew the Jays were out of it. The at bats were not competitive whatsoever. Brian Bayo just all of a sudden looks like the greatest pitcher to ever do it. Just it sucks when you make your division counterpart just look like an unbelievable team, especially when you had such good first two games of the series. Jaren Duran just continues to kill this team. I don't know what it is about this guy. He's just hammering home runs, like extra base hits, just absolutely stomping on the Toronto Blue Jays right now. Again, these two games have brought me kind of back down to earth with the Toronto Blue Jays. You look at Chris Bassett. I guess you blame the game on him. He gave up a run. That's how Toronto Blue Jays baseball. You give up one run, and you might as well book yourself for the loss. That's how it seemed to go at the start of the season. I thought we were turning a leaf again. These stinkers do happen though, but not necessarily against Brian Bayo. That's where I start to fault the Toronto Blue Jays a little bit for that. But again, we're at the point of the season where we kind of knew the Toronto Blue Jays were make the playoffs. And in the big picture, it does help if we lose more baseball games, but it's tough to get cheer against your own team. I'm definitely not going to jump on board with that. So again, it's just kind of is what it is, and you're just taking what you can get with the Toronto Blue Jays with only 27 games left in the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I totally understand that, and that's sort of where I'm at too. I know it's better for this team to lose baseball games, but I just can't bring myself to ever feel good about a loss. I don't care who it's against, and it hurts even more that it's against the Red Sox, right? If it was, I don't know, the Marlins, maybe I'd feel a little bit better. But if it's the Yankees, the Red Sox, I just never want to lose to those two teams. And here they are losing and only being able to put up 2 hits. It's just not what you want to see. But you talked a little bit about Chris Bassett. I just want to go over his stat line because this guy, it was just great. It was good to see. Again, not the most exciting baseball of all time, but good to see from Chris Bassett going 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 9 Ks, 1 walk. I mean, that is just a great Chris Bassett start. And I love it. And then, obviously the bullpen came in and gave up 2, but at that point it doesn't matter because the Blue Jays didn't score anything. So I can't really, I can't get on them when the offense doesn't get more than 2 hits.
Yeah, you can't blame Chris Bassett, obviously. It's guys like him that I feel bad for with how this Toronto Blue Jays season has played out. Because this guy signed here wanting to make the playoffs, wanting to obviously at least compete for a World Series. Hasn't really gotten the opportunity to do that. You look at last year, not winning a playoff game this year, not even making the playoffs. Got 1 more year left on his deal. I know me and you, after especially that Yusei Kikuchi trade, but even before that as well, we kind of wanted them to trade and move on from Chris Bassett, especially with how the trade market was for starting pitchers. Again, I'm not going to be complaining that Chris Bassett's starting for my baseball team. Definitely a fun guy to watch that throws a million pitches. Always keeps hitters guessing. But looking at Chris Bassett, it's just a guy that I wish better for. And that's part of the reason that I wouldn't have hated to trade for him is because he would have gotten the opportunity to play for a World Series, to play for a team that is actually going to make the playoffs because he is getting older. He's not old yet. He's not out of able playing condition for the MLB. But again, you start getting over 30 and you start looking at the clock and start obviously regressing in your play. So Chris Bassett, a guy that it kind of sucks that the Toronto Blue Jays are not competing, but hopefully they can retool and I guess try their best to compete in 2025. That's at least what we've been hearing from Rogers Media.
Yeah, it is frustrating. It really is. I feel bad for a lot of these pitchers, right? Like Kevin Gosman's another guy, Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios. I mean, these guys just continue to play well, and it just sort of doesn't go their way. They're not getting the help, and so it is frustrating. Like I look at the win-loss record, which I don't take any consideration into statistics for win-loss record, but they probably would like to have a winning season. And then there's games like this when they come out and they get pinned the loss for giving up 1 run. I mean, it's sort of criminal, Carter. Let's take it back here to Tuesday's game because I sort of, there's a little bit more here to talk about. And I feel like we can chat about a 2-hit ball game for only so long. Back to the Tuesday game here, which this is the one we sort of didn't really cover. Shout out Will Wagner. Great. His first bomb of his MLB career. Love to see it. And a great game, 3 for 4. I mean, the guy just rakes, dude. He looks so good.
He's hitting gaps. He's spraying the ball pull side, pushing it, obviously slapping it down the line, and then he hits his home run as well. Another great swing by Will Wagner. Didn't even know that it was gone. Thought they made the play in center field. Have to get confirmation from the ump, actually. Did a little stop up at second base, but then continues his trot around the bases. A guy that's going to be fun, I think, to watch for the future. A guy that's competing, obviously, for at least a roster spot, a good chance of making the roster from what he's shown so far. But again, still a lot of time between now and next season. But these are the guys that you're looking at to excite you, the guys that you're supposed to get excited for the future. So yeah, congrats to him and how good he looked in that third game of the Boston Red Sox series. But just, well, I guess technically second when you go back to it. But
Yeah.
looking at it, this team had 11 hits, and you score 3 runs in the baseball game. You get 2 solo shots. A game that they probably should have won. A lot of innings that they left runners on did not come up with big hits. You get 11 hits. You think you could muster a couple more runs than 3. Just didn't come up with hits in the big spots at multiple times with runners on. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had opportunities. Will Wagner, just multiple guys that came up and just unfortunately could not come through in the big moments, leading to the loss to the Boston Red Sox. Because you're looking across the scoreboard, obviously 9 hits against they score 6 runs. So you don't want, again, you're not expecting your team to score 7 runs every single baseball game, but with 11 hits, you definitely want to at least give your team a chance to win this baseball game.
Yeah, and I mean that's been a problem with the Toronto Blue Jays team for a long time is being able to score with runners in scoring position, and they just can't seem to figure it out some games. Yes, some games it works and everything goes well, but for the most part, I mean, looking back, Carter, it's been 2 years of this of not being able to drive those runners in, and that's what's killed this baseball team. And we've seen it even more today or this year. So that's gonna have to be something, and that might come down to the long ball, Carter. Something that we've seen talk about getting a power bat. We need somebody that can send the ball over the wall and drive in those runs, and that'll be huge going into next year. I think that's something that we're gonna have to look at for this team in free agents or in the offseason to pick up somebody that can do that. I don't know, and we'll get way more into that sort of as we continue. Carter, I know you have a couple more things you want to talk about. Do you have anything else from this game that you really want to go over? Because I'd rather not talk about Yariel Rodriguez because it just hurts my soul a little bit.
Yeah,
Because
I'll
I'm
definitely want to get into it eventually. But in this instance with this game, I definitely not. I don't think the home run ball and the lack of hitting the home run ball was the problem in this game. You look at the Blue Jays stretch, definitely did not have trouble hitting the long ball over the last 15 to 20 games. But you just look at timely hitting. We're striking out, having very weak contact, rolling over on balls where you want to be at least hitting balls hard. They get a sac fly. Again, I'm not going to get too excited about a sac fly, but you do a job. But you want to hit the ball hard. You want to hit the gaps. You want to be able to come up with hits in clutch situations. So that's just one. They don't take advantage of it. Again, that does happen in baseball, but a little bit unfortunate when you had such big momentum after your 5, but 6. I guess 6 game, but technically 5-game sweep when you're looking at it. But again, looking at this team, Yariel Rodriguez, I'll wait to get in on him. But just going over some stat lines, and a guy that I wanted to give credit to is Dalton Varsho. Dalton Varsho has looked very good actually over the last even 15 games. He's starting to put it together a little bit more. Not necessarily hitting what you want on the season. Going over his stats here: 219 average, 16 home runs. If he can get to 20 home runs for sure. I'm looking for 25. Probably not going to happen over 27. But looking for 20 home runs for sure. But it's at 16 right now. 54 RBIs, a 709 OPS. But over his last 15 games is 18,458 with a 310 average. 365 OBP and a slugging of 534. That's what you're trying to see from Dalton Varsho. If you can get something like that, again, the average doesn't have to be 310. It can even be 260 for me. I'm going to be happy with that. But it's fun to see Dalton Varsho put good swings out there. He's a guy that does hit the ball hard, and when he hits the ball hard, it goes a long way. See him hit doubles. You see him hit pull side doubles a lot of the time. Those pull side home runs that I obviously get excited about. A fun baseball player to watch in the field, but he can be even more fun to watch when he is mashing at the plate as well.
Yeah, Dalton Varsho, when he's on, and he's fun to watch. His speed, his defensive ability, and then when he gets the heat in his bat, it is a really, really fun brand of baseball to watch. I said I wasn't going to do it, Carter. I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about Yariel Rodriguez. I brought up his last 7-game stats, and it's just not good. This is a guy that I think will pop back up and continue to be good in the next few years. It is his first season in the MLB, but the last 7 games have just been brutal, Carter. He's got an ERA of 6.1. He's 31 innings pitched. He's given up 21 earned runs, 12 walks. I mean, he does have 30 strikeouts, so he's just under a strikeout an inning. But overall, he's just not looked great over the last few games. So hopefully he's a guy that can put it together because they're going to need him. They're going to need him next season if, Alek Manoah is still out, if none of the other rookies sort of make moves up, i.e. hopefully Jake Bloss, but we'll see. Have to see and wait to see what happens with him. Carter, from this game, anything sort of else that stands out to you?
I'll go over a little bit of Yariel Rodriguez, and then I want to talk about Vladdy's base running in the first inning. But with Yariel Rodriguez, just lately he's been over the middle a whole lot more. You look at it, you look at just specifically this last game he had. The curveball, finding the majority of the plate a lot of the time, slider a lot of the time, just right over the plate. These hitters are going to hit balls, especially off-speed pitches, and if they're sitting on them, they're going to get hammered, especially when they're over the middle of the plate. You don't want to be flirting with that. You want normally, especially on a slider curveball, you want it low in the zone, set up other pitches, set up your fastball. He was throwing a lot of breaking balls in this last game, taken advantage of by the Boston Red Sox. But yeah, just a little bit inconsistent. And when you look at the starter race for that fifth rotation spot going into next season, you got guys like Bowden Francis, Yariel Rodriguez, Alek Manoah when he comes back, Jake Bloss will be in the mix, a couple other guys, of course, from free agency, most likely as well. So you want these guys to be able to compete. Again, you want to see success from Yariel Rodriguez, but he does have, after this season, 4 more years on his contract. So he does have a little bit of time to figure it out, especially not being that old. I believe he's 27 years old. But saying this, moving on from Yariel Rodriguez, do want to move into Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So you go just another spot in this first inning, a spot where you can answer the Boston Red Sox. You can get on the board here. Just a little bit of a dumb decision by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So George Springer is on first base. Vladdy just absolutely smokes ball up the middle as he has been doing since the All-Star break, pretty much the entire season when you look at it, other than the last 40 or so, or first 40 or so games. But he smokes the ball. Jarren Duran kind of tracks it down in left center field. Vladdy decides to go around first, round it, and go to 2. Gets thrown out by probably it would have been 15 feet if the throw was online, but it looks like 8 or so on the screen. It was not a close play. Vladdy just can't be making that turn, guys. It's a lot more fun hitting with one out with runners on first and third rather than 2 outs, runners on third. Kind of ruins a rally for you there, and just starts a game where you leave a lot of runners on base. If you score there, maybe you can get to the pitcher a little bit earlier on, and you start breaking through. You start piling on, and maybe this game transpires differently for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, and I mean, this is another thing that we've talked about a ton, in the past 2 years is Vladdy's base running decision. He's just got to be smarter on the paths. Some games he looks good, and some games he just looks. You sort of wonder what he's reading out there because it doesn't compute. Like when you see that ball and you see Duran in the outfield grab that ball, and you're only halfway to second, maybe give it a turn back. Maybe try something because you're out to lunch. I think, and I don't want to go at Vladdy too much. He's having a great season, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But the base running definitely could be helped here, Carter. I know we got a bit more here to go over. A couple other things you wanted to throw in. I know that. So we're going to get into that right away. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I did want to mention as well to check out Locked On MLB. You can make, as you guys always do, you make us your first listen. Make Locked On MLB with host Paul Sullivan Sully your second listen. It is a blast. He covers all the major storylines going on in the MLB. So tune into that as well on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll be right back with some more Blue Jays news and a little bit of look ahead.
Today's episode is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you can pick more than or less than a 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is very simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entries in as little as 60 seconds. Toronto Blue Jays looking to win the series against the Boston Red Sox. I guess technically not, but I'm counting that one suspended game as a Toronto Blue Jays win, so it would be a 3-2 win. So I'm going to roll with more Ashton Barger hits. He's been on fire recently, hitting the ball hard. So I got that at 0.5. I got more Springer bases at 1.5. And then I also have more Bowden Francis case. He's been on fire recently. So I'm going to hammer that as well. But if you know which players are going to perform on specific nights, this is a no-brainer. Download PrizePicks and start making your picks today. You can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. PrizePicks, run your game.
I've done that to you a few times now, Carter, and I always get confused on the last line. I go to hit the button, and you're still rolling. Carter, just before we sort of get to some Blue Jays news, I sort of wanted to just go over sort of a game that I always look forward to now that Bowden Francis is on such a hot streak here. It's Bowden Francis versus Crawford. Bowden Francis looks so good as of late. This is a game that I'm a little bit excited for. I'm a little bit excited to watch. And then, like I said, I'll be down in Minnesota to watch the Blue Jays and Twins for that Friday, Saturday game. So if you guys see me there, come over, say hi, let's talk some Blue Jays. Hopefully there will be a lot of entertaining Blue Jay action over the weekend, but you never really know. So if it's not going well, come over, say hi, and we'll talk some Blue Jays for sure.
Yeah, be a chance to see Brandon Wasco in the flesh. Definitely an opportunity for you guys if you guys are around Target Field. It's great field. Obviously, you've been there multiple times. I'm assuming,
Oh
right?
yeah, lots. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, you pretty much Braden's second home, I guess you could say. Minnesota Twins, maybe a team that Braden might be going for the playoffs because obviously the Toronto Blue Jays will not be there. Minnesota Twins should be able to keep cruising along and take one of those wild card spots. But yeah, going into it, Bound Francis, just it's a guy that is in the spotlight. We say Bound Francis, Yariel Rodriguez, the two pitchers we're following the most closely right now, and it seems like they've been pretty opposite this season. When Yariel Rodriguez has been good, Bound Francis has been struggling immensely, and then vice versa. You look at Yariel Rodriguez now; it's not been good as of late. Bound Francis on his best stretch, debatably, of his career at the starting pitching position. So Bound Francis, you're looking at this game. The Red Sox lineup, it's not bad. Definitely, you can argue better than the Toronto Blue Jays. So at least this season, you could say. So he's going to have to battle, but he's been doing it for the entire month of August. Hopefully, I can cap off a great month of August, gaining the AL Player of the Week. Just I think it was for last week. So congrats to him again. But hopefully, continue the success. That split finger fastball he's been throwing, the splitter has worked very well for him off that curveball fastball combo. So if he can continue to use that effectively and command his pitches like he did in that last outing, I have more than strikeouts on him. So I'm really hoping that hits as well. If he wants to throw 12, be definitely happy to see 12 again. But I'm excited for my boy Bound Francis, guy that I want to see succeed, especially because of some of my picks and my predictions on this guy.
Yeah, it was too bad that he wasn't, pitching on the Friday game because it would have been nice to see him in the flesh, sort of, eating up innings. But I still get to watch Gosman, I still get to watch Barria, so I'm pretty pumped for that. I don't know, Carter. You got anything else? I know you had a couple things. Do you still want to get into those, or you wanting to save that for tomorrow's sort of big episode? What are you thinking?
No, I'm sort of all Blue Jays out at this point after these last two games, especially this last one. Like the other one, I'm okay with because you get a little bit of offense, you get let down, obviously. But two hits, it's such a boring game. Like there's nothing to get excited about in a 2-hit game. Like, hey, Ashton Barger, at bats are horrible after you, and then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You can get excited about a hit. But if maybe he was on his hit streak, I would be okay with this game. But yeah, not excited to lose to the Boston Red Sox 3-0 when they have more runs than you have hits. But I would like to say thank you guys for watching, especially with the up and down roller coaster which the Toronto Blue Jays season has been. Look at the win streaks, you look at the losing streaks. Hopefully, this losing streak does not continue. I guess you can't necessarily call it to a streak, but we're going into the subscriptions, the likes, comments, debates, all that. We obviously do appreciate that more than you guys think, and we have noticed that 68% of you guys are not subscribed. So if you guys are coming back, listening to the podcasts. We're going to try to get back on the shorts a little bit. Probably not every day because I don't think you guys want to hear everyday recaps. And when we're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays not scoring runs, not the most fun thing at all for us, but we definitely do want to keep going with that content. So we'll be shooting that at you guys. But drop a subscription. Keep leaving your comments and stuff for us to do debate about in the comments section. But Braden, that's pretty much all I got for this episode. You got anything else to add?
Yeah, I got one more thing. Like I always say, make sure you guys go check out after this episode. Make sure you go check out Locked On MLB with host Paul Sullivan, Sully, our guy on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.